Max strolled through the park on a crisp, sunny afternoon, enjoying the peaceful surroundings. Birds chirped melodiously, and children's laughter filled the air. As he wandered off the beaten path, something unusual caught his eye, a strange, old clock half buried in the dirt. Its intricate design, with ornate gears and glowing hands, seemed to beckon him closer. Curious, Max picked it up, brushing off the dirt. The clock was unlike anything he had seen before, and he couldn't resist turning the delicate hands. Suddenly, a brilliant light engulfed him, and the world around him started to spin. He felt a strange sensation, like being pulled through time and space. When the light faded, Max found himself standing in the middle of a bustling village. Cobblestone streets lined with timber-framed houses stretched as far as he could see. The villagers, dressed in medieval attire, moved about their daily routines, oblivious to the newcomer in their midst. Max looked around, wide-eyed and bewildered. "Where am I?" he muttered to himself, clutching the clock tightly. He knew one thing for sure. This was not the same park he had just left. Max stood still, absorbing the sights and sounds of the medieval village. The sun was shining brightly, casting a warm glow on the stone buildings and the bustling market square. Merchants called out their wares, villagers chatted in small groups, and the air was filled with the aroma of fresh bread and roasted meat. It was like stepping into a living history book. He wandered cautiously, trying to blend in while taking in the unfamiliar surroundings. The villagers didn't seem to notice him, too preoccupied with their daily tasks. Max's heart raced as he realized the full extent of his situation. He had traveled through time, and now he needed to find a way back. Suddenly, he spotted a small group of children playing near a fountain. They were speaking English, but with an accent that was slightly different from what he was used to. Encouraged, Max approached them, hoping to get some answers. "Excuse me," he said hesitantly, "can you tell me where I am?" The children stopped playing and looked at him curiously. One of them, a boy with a mischievous grin, replied, "You're in the village of Greendale. Are you lost, strangers?" Max nodded. "Yes, I need to find someone who can help me. Do you know where I can find the nearest clock tower?" The boy pointed down a narrow street. "Go straight and you'll see it near the market. But be careful, there are lots of people around today." Max thanked the boy and continued on his way, his mind racing. He knew he had to find the clock tower if he wanted any chance of returning home. Max followed the boy's directions, weaving through the narrow streets of Greendale. The village was bustling with activity, and the sights and sounds were both overwhelming and fascinating. As he approached the market, the chatter of villagers and the clinking of coins filled the air. Stalls overflowed with colorful fabrics, fresh produce, and handcrafted goods. In the midst of the crowd, Max spotted a kindly-looking merchant arranging goods at a stall. Mustering his courage, Max stepped forward. "Excuse me," he said, his voice steady but polite, "can you help me?" The merchant looked up, his eyes twinkling with curiosity. "Of course, young man," he replied. "What do you need?" Max hesitated for a moment before asking, "Where is the nearest clock tower?" "I need to get there." The merchant smiled warmly. "Ah, the clock tower. It's not far from here. Just go straight down this road, past the market square, and you'll see it on the left." Max nodded, grateful for the clear instructions.
"Thank you," he said.
As he turned to leave, the merchant called out, "And be careful. Today's a busy day in the market." Max waved in acknowledgement and continued on his way, the merchant's words echoing in his mind. The instructions were simple enough, but he couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to this journey than just finding the clock tower. As he walked through the crowded market, Max repeated the key phrases in his head. "Excuse me, can you help me?" And "Where's the nearest clock tower?" These sentences had already proven invaluable, and he knew they would be useful in the future. He made a mental note to remember them for any situation where he might need assistance. The market square was a hive of activity, with villagers bustling about, haggling over prices and exchanging news. Max marveled at the scene, feeling both out of place and strangely at home. Despite the unfamiliar setting, the language barrier was beginning to feel less daunting. He was starting to see how important it was to know these basic phrases, and how they could help him navigate this strange, new world. Max pushed forward through the bustling market, following the merchant's directions. The cobblestone streets were crowded with villagers, their conversations blending into a lively hum. He dodged carts loaded with goods and sidestepped excited children chasing each other around the stalls. The vibrant atmosphere was both overwhelming and captivating. As he moved past the market square, the noise began to fade, and the streets grew narrower. The medieval architecture, with its timber-framed houses and stone walls, felt like something out of a storybook. Max couldn't help but marvel at the craftsmanship and the history surrounding him. Ahead, the road opened up to a small plaza, and there it was, the clock tower. It stood tall and majestic, its ancient stone structure casting a long shadow over the square. The clock's hands were frozen, pointing to a specific time, as if waiting for someone to set them in motion. Max approached cautiously, his heart pounding with anticipation. He knew this was the key to returning home, but he wasn't sure how it worked. He examined the base of the tower, noticing intricate carvings that seemed to tell a story. His mind raced as he tried to decipher their meaning. The tower's aura was almost magical, and Max felt a strange connection to it. He knew he had come to the right place, but what was he supposed to do next? He took a deep breath, focusing on the task at hand, determined to find a way to unlock its secrets. Max stood before the clock tower, its presence both intimidating and inviting. He felt a strange pull, as if the tower was urging him to take action. Gathering his courage, he reached out and touched the cold stone surface. To his surprise, the clock's hands began to glow softly, and the carvings on the tower seemed to come to life, telling a story of time and journeys. He noticed a small, hidden mechanism near the base of the tower. Without hesitation, Max turned the dial, mimicking the motion he had made earlier with the old clock in the park. A brilliant light engulfed him once again, and the familiar sensation of being pulled through time washed over him. When the light faded, Max found himself back in the park, the old clock still clutched in his hand. The sun was shining, the birds were chirping, and the world around him was as he had left it. He took a deep breath, feeling a mixture of relief and accomplishment. Looking at the clock, Max smiled. He had not only traveled through time, but had also learned valuable lessons along the way. The simple phrases he used, "Excuse me, can you help me?" and "Where is the nearest?" had proven to be crucial in navigating an unfamiliar. As he walked back toward the park's main path, Max felt a renewed sense of confidence. He realized that learning English was like his adventure. It might be challenging at times, but with persistence and practice, he could overcome any obstacle. He knew this was just the beginning of his journey. Turning to the camera, Max shared a final thought. Remember, every small step counts. Keep practicing, and you'll be amazed at what you can achieve. If you enjoyed this adventure, make sure to subscribe and join me on the next one. Until then, happy learning!